Hi, I'm Peter Morse, President of the SMC Faculty Association. The purpose of this video is to just run through the detailed slides of the contract language and proposals that we have reached a table agreement with the district on, so that you can see the actual language and hear about more of the details that we covered briefly in our first announcement video. So I'm going to jump right into this, and I'm going to just, for context, just remind folks that negotiations are a two-party process. And so what we have here is what we were able to get agreement with the district on, and we think this is a fair and reasonable contract for the faculty at SMC. So one of the first small things that we have here is there is an increase to some stipends. These stipends are specifically just for independent study and for applied music faculty members taking on students. And I'll show you on the next slide how you can get to the proposed language and what it will look like. So here's one that applies to everybody, whether you're part-time or full-time. As you know, we have a professional development committee that allows faculty to receive funds to go to conferences, to undertake different kinds of professional development. This money that's available for those kinds of things is negotiated, it's in the contract, and we're able to get that amount of money increased up to $75,000. And I wanted to point out on this slide, the slide deck is available on our website. And on any of the slides, you can click on the proposed language piece. And what you'll find is exactly what the language will look like in the contract if you approve it, and then the board also votes to approve it. So you can see here that these funds continue in each year. The money rolls over. Anything is unused is able to be used in the future as well. So again, you'll just click on any of those links on any slide that has your interest, and you can see the exact language. Something else that is, again, for everybody is this pandemic sick leave. We're all really aware now that pandemics hit us, and it very quickly can run through people's sick time that they've earned. So we were able to get the district to agree to provide extra sick time, 5 days an academic year, to deal with issues that have to do with pandemic-related health situations. Perhaps it's your family members, perhaps it's yourself, you have to quarantine. So there are 5 days a year that doesn't roll over, but you get new 5 days every year for any kind of pandemic-related illness that might occur. Less folks are affected by this. So there's, in the student services area, there are some folks who have added responsibility because they're leads over an area. We already have a number of colleagues who have this added responsibility stipend for leading the area, whether it's scholars or Black collegians or a variety of different areas that we have student services leads in. And we're able to get 3 more folks added to that list: career services, the health sciences, and veteran success center. So again, these are colleagues who have additional responsibilities, and so now they also are able to take that extra stipend. This is an interesting one, and it's huge, honestly. Academic Senate presidents worked pretty much 24/7, and they're not guaranteed a certain amount of reassigned time. We do have in the contract a certain amount of overall release time for the academic senate and for other faculty leadership, but we're able to get the district to explicitly provide for full release time for academic senate presidents in the fall and the spring, and then also another 6 LHE for the intersession, where they can use that as they wish, in the summer, part in the summer, part in the winter. And they also get a step increase in the salary for taking on this extra responsibility as well. We're hopeful that, freeing up 30 more LHE over the year is going to allow the Senate to provide more compensation to a lot of folks who are doing important work for the college, including perhaps part-time senators, other people in other positions that are crucial for the Senate and for the administration of the college. Assistant coaches, used to be that the number of assistant coaches per sport were based upon the numbers of students enrolled, but different sports have really specific needs. for the numbers of assistant coaches they might have, whether it's offense, defense, particular specialty area of a particular sport. And so what we're able to get in the contract for this is a set number of assistant coaches per sport, increased stipend pay for assistant coaches. Many folks may not know, but it's been really difficult to both attract and retain excellent assistant coaches. So now those folks who have been staying with us, finally will get some compensation that's appropriate for all the time they spend. Article 6.6 specifically deals with a part-time faculty benefit in the contract. Pretty much every part-time faculty knows or should know that after a certain amount of time at the college with a certain amount of load, you can earn eligibility for associate faculty status. And this associate faculty status, once it's awarded, gives you some continuity or expectation of assignments so you can plan ahead a little bit. Last contract, we were able to change some of the disqualifying factors, right? So it used to be that if there was one needs improvement, you would lose the status, associate faculty status. We were able to get the district to extend it to 2 needs improvement, right? You get a chance to address the issues that your colleagues might have noticed, and to show that you've made, a good faith effort to improve in those areas. So you'd have to get 2 needs improvement to lose the status. Well, we also got this extended, right? So another issue that some folks are not aware of is that once you had those 5 semesters in a row in fall and spring teaching the certain amount of load, you may not still be awarded the associate faculty status, even though you're eligible for it. There's a cap that the district has put on, as in the contract. There's a cap on the number of part-time faculty in a given discipline who can actually be awarded the associate faculty status. So, through no fault of your own, you've jumped through all the hoops you need to, you're eligible for it, but it's not awarded in a number of different departments where their associate faculty list is closed. We don't think that those folks should have been also kicked off the list if they got 1 needs improvement. So the district agreed that, it's better to extend that. So anyone who has earned eligibility now or has associate faculty status will need to get 2 needs improvements before they would lose that status or lose their eligibility. And this is a huge benefit to folks. There's also sort of a logistical shift that we've done. We've changed when the associate faculty list is going to be generated. It used to be generated in spring. It would be given to the department chairs by the end of spring. If things went well, it'd be the end of spring. But by that stage, all the scheduling has already been done. And if there was a new associate faculty member on the list, the chairs would have to shuffle assignments around in order to get those folks their guaranteed base for the fall. So by moving the generation of the list into the winter, chairs will have their information about who's an associate faculty member right while they're doing the scheduling for the following fall. So again, just logistically, it stops people from being messed around, assignments being changed at the last moment, and gives the chairs a heads up on who's now on the list. That's huge, right? So this whole thing is a great benefit. All right, so chairs and coordinators. So in Article 22, all the details about the amount of reassigned time that department chairs have and what their compensation looks like, all that's described in Article 22. Probably the most impressive part of the changes in this article for us is that we finally got our colleagues who were chairs of the library department and health sciences to become full departmental chairs. They were working previously up until this contract on a different lower pay scale. They had far less reassigned time and far, I guess, more poorly defined duties and things like this. So finally, right, so our last 2 departments now have full departmental chairs where they get the full salary and reassigned time structure that every other chair does. Given the sort of increase in load of duties for department chairs just in general, we were able to get their summer pay increased and their winter pay as well. Winter is an optional session, but pretty much every chair works over winter as well. And so the amount of pay they get for those duties have increased. Some departments had embarrassingly small amounts of reassigned time to do all those administrative tasks that every chair has to do. So we got a number of the chairs reassigned time increased, and some of the chairs, they have a step shift that occurs on the salary schedule. We got increases to the chair step shifts for some of the chairs in departments with extra duties. And then really a bonus that's going to enable, I think, incoming chairs to understand their job and what they need to be doing and to more seamlessly move into that position is that incoming chairs will be receiving reassigned time so that can teach perhaps one less class, freeing up that class for a part-time colleague, where they can shadow the chair, right? They can follow the chair and understand more of the duties. There is no formal training for incoming chairs, if people didn't realize that. So this is a chance for incoming chairs to learn their job. If there's a new building, there's a lot more work. So department chairs who are moving into new buildings, doesn't happen that often, but if it does, you get some more reassigned time for that. And then this flexibility about program review. There's been a lot of great changes being made or have been made to program review and the structure and the cycle and how we do program review. And we found from the program review committee that they thought that chairs being able to provide some reassigned time to a variety of colleagues within the department. They could be full-time, part-time, but people have knowledge and expertise in certain areas. They wanted the chairs to be able to give that reassigned time to anybody who the chair thinks is appropriate. So we got that into the contract. And then finally, for the 100% coordinators, they got a boost to their step adjustment that they're allowed, and then their winter pay was also increased. Again, just pointing out on any of these slides, as you're looking through them, again, they're on our website. You can click on the proposed language section, and it'll take you straight to that particular article. The chair's article, right, is a long, detailed one with a lot of information, but it's all there with the proposed actual language available to you. All right, so onto the piece that most people are interested in hearing more about. So salary. So everybody, full-time, part-time, all pay schedules. We have an across-the-board increase of 7% for the 22-23 year. That is year one of the contract. Year two, we got to an agreement where we'd accept 75% of the received state COLA. So the state and finally in June, the state legislature approves a particular budget for the state. The governor signs it into effect, and then a particular amount of COLA, cost of living allowance, is given out to the different state agencies. So the percentage of the COLA that we've accepted in the next 2 years is 75% of that. Given what the COLA is projected to be, again, this is the state COLA that's projected is based on a series of different formulas. We believe that's going to be a 6% raise roughly for us in the second year. That's right on us, right, starting next year. And then another about 4% for the following year. These are just projected, and so these salary schedules won't be printed out until the state budget is actually accepted and is known. But again, we're looking over the 3 years of the contract. It looks like it's about 16% if you add these up. When you compound it from year to year, it's about a 17% increase over the 3 years of the contract. So that's a substantial increase in salary to all faculty for all the work that they're doing on the different salary schedules. Also, this question comes up a lot, so I'm going to say right here. The state COLA is something that is not a pass-through, right? So even if the district received a COLA of 5%, none of that is guaranteed to any employee group. It's not guaranteed to go to any particular expense, and everything there has to be negotiated. So the cost of living allowance that the district gets, they use on whatever they think they need to put it onto, and to use 75% of that amount onto salaries, we think in this contract is a good deal. In the past, we've accepted COLA minus something. Sometimes we've accepted COLA plus. Sometimes we've accepted just a straight number. So, for example, in year one, the state received COLA was less than 7%. It was 6.56. So here in the first year, we're accepting more than COLA for that first year. All right. Service longevity. This is a completely new kind of compensation that we negotiated for in this contract. And it's available to everybody, full-time and part-time. And it's really an acknowledgement of your commitment and the time and the service that you've provided to SMC. Some of the details are a little complicated, but the bottom line, the sort of the baseline idea of it is that, again, it's an acknowledgement that you have committed and your time and your focus to SMC, and that needs to be compensated. So what we have here is that when you reach particular, benchmarks of years of service to the college, at 16 years, 21 years, and 26 years, then you'll be receiving longevity compensation for your contributions and your commitment to the college. For full-time folks, it's pretty straightforward. If you're a full-time faculty member hired and working at SMC, then you get your years of service based upon the years you've been here as a full-time faculty member. But as a part-time faculty member, it's a little more complicated because what does 1 year mean? And the district wasn't willing to just make it be from when you were hired. So we had to come up with a formula, and we had to get to a compromise for what 1 year of service actually would be for everybody. For part-time faculty members, knowing that you cannot work more than 67% of a full-time load, we were able to get an agreement with the district to make 1 year of service be equal to having completed 20 LAG of assignments at the college. So, for some faculty members, that might be equal to about 7 classes. For counselors, that might mean that you've had a 20-hour a week assignment for 2 semesters that would get you this 20 LAG. In some departments, faculty members might have 5 LAG classes that they can teach. So maybe you're teaching 2 of those. You could have 10 LAG in the fall. You could have another 10 LAG in the spring. That would add up to be 1 year of service. Now, we realize that a lot of folks don't have that full load as a part-time faculty member. And so once you have completed 20 LAG worth of assignments, whether it's in instructional or non-instructional areas, that still counts as 1 year of service. So as you count those extra assignments up, it is only through fall and spring. That's all we're able to get to an agreement with the district on. So those assignments in fall and spring, as you add them up, once you get to 20, that's 1 year of service. This is not a bonus. It's not one time. It's not something that's here now and goes away. It's an ongoing additional compensation. All right, it's in addition to salary, and it's an ongoing compensation. So once you reach one of those particular longevity tiers, maybe the 16-year tier, you keep getting that longevity compensation, while you're in your 17th year and 18th and 19th and 20th. And when you get to the next tier, you'll get that new longevity compensation. They don't add on top of each other. You don't keep what you had before and then add this next one on. But as you move into each of the tiers, and we'll get to the numbers in a moment, you get a particular percentage of compensation based upon the level of longevity that you're in. So, here's an example. If you're a part-time faculty member and you add up the fall and spring assignments that you've had, and you see that the assignment that you've had is equal to 114 LAG, you divide that by 20, and so you've completed 5.7 years of service at the college. The next semester, let's say if you had 6 more LAG, you'd add that on, so you'll have 120. Divide that by 20, you find that you've got 6 years of service. So again, every assignment that you work in fall and spring just adds into the total LAG that you have, and your years of service increase that way. So here's someone who's been here for a longer period of time. Let's say that their total LAG, their total assignment over their career has been 415. Divide that by 20, you end up with 20.75 years of service to the college. Remember, so that means that faculty member is in that tier from 16 to 21, and they'll be earning the longevity bonus for that 16 to 21 tier. However, the next semester, if they complete 9 more LAG, when you do the calculation, you find that now they've got 21.2 years worth of service to the college. So that means that the next semester, they'll move into the next level of the longevity compensation. Full-time faculty, as I said, it's simple as far as your full-time service, but again, this is a bonus for part-time faculty members who, get a full-time position here. You don't lose your service to the college as a part-time faculty member for longevity, right? You started here, you've been working here part-time, you get a full-time position. All of that service to the college counts. And so, for example, if you were somebody who had 172 part-time LHE, it's 8.6 years of service, and then you've worked full-time for 9 years, your total service to the college will count to be just over 17 years. And so again, you'll be somebody who's in that 16-year longevity compensation tier. All right. So everybody's available. This is available to everybody. It's really an acknowledgement that people are committing their time and their service to the college. And we know there's a lot of folks who are looking elsewhere, right, to try and get jobs elsewhere. This is sort of a commitment from the college to say, if you stick with us, we are definitely going to acknowledge and reward that commitment to the college. So the actual amounts that we reach an agreement on, obviously we wanted a particular number to be, set and fixed and just moving forwards. However, we agreed to kind of ramp this up to get to the level that we felt like was appropriate for folks who have served the time. So we're starting out in the first year that we're already in of a 1% longevity compensation for those folks who have been here 16 or more years. If you've reached 21 years completed service to the college, you'll receive 2% longevity compensation. And then when you get to 26 years, that 2% will go up to 3%. So again, well, unfortunately, right, these numbers are shifting because we're ramping up to a different endpoint. So, but the gist of that is the way it's going to work. Year two, those percentages have increased to 2.5%, 5%, or 7.5%. So if you are in one of these ranges, this is the compensation you'll receive in the second year of the contract. And then by the third year of the contract, we've reached the percentages that we're aiming for pretty much. So we've tied the longevity compensation to the college's fiscal health. So if the college has an ending fund balance that is less than 5%, we have a set of percentages here that we agreed to. If the college's ending fund balance is more than 5%, there's a different set of percentages we agreed to. I just want to point out that the college currently has a fund balance. At the end of their last fiscal year, their ending fund balance was over $40 million and was over 20% when you compare it to the expenditures. So they had an ending fund balance of over 20%. The Chancellor's Office recommends that colleges have an ending fund balance at minimum of 5%. When you look back historically at SMC, there's only one time in about the last 20 years that we've ever dropped below 5%. Every other year we've been up, 7.5%, 12%, 20%, right? There's a whole range of kind of landing points that correspond to a healthy college and healthy fiscal situation. And our college is pretty good at kind of landing between 7.5% and 12.5% or so, right? They're not holding on to a whole lot of money. They're not a profit-making institution. Most of the money they get from the state, they want to funnel into resources for students and the employees who serve them. So our college does a great job of kind of hitting that sweet spot. But in order to acknowledge that the college may be concerned about what's going to happen down the road, we agreed that the ongoing longevity compensation tiers would have a 4%, 8%, and 12% amount if the college's ending fund balance in this year three, heading into year three, was less than 5%. These percentages, though, are what will continue on into the future. If the college ends as we expect, right, at over 5%, so if the college's ending fund balance is higher than 5%, those longevity compensation amounts will be 5%, 10%, and 15%. And so as long as you're working at the college, this compensation, and you're in one of these tiers, that's additional longevity compensation you'd be receiving. All right, a couple of details. Years of service for longevity does not correspond necessarily, or if it does, it's by chance, to the step that you're on the salary schedule. And it does not correspond if you're part of the CalSTRS defined benefit plan. Your years of service to SMC are not related to those two things. The more years of service at SMC, the higher your step on the salary schedule and the more CalSTRS service credit you have, but they're not one-to-one. And so it is complicated to know exactly where any one individual lands. And so after this contract is agreed to, right, we have the framework. If you have these many years of service, right, this is where you'll land. We're going to be working with HR closely and with academic affairs to actually place everybody and find out what longevity amount or number of years they have, and that will determine, right, the longevity step that you have reached. So we're still working on placing every individual, but the same framework, the same structure is going to apply to everybody. And before the end of the semester, we will definitely have a way for folks to check on where we say that they've been placed. We want this to show up in mProfessor. There's a series of things that you should be able to track and see what's going on at any time, right? And that's true, honestly, for your step on the salary schedule as well. So there's a number of places we'd like to see this be far more transparent. But again, what we just want to convince folks is that, you are guaranteed to be in the same structure. Everybody's got access to this. Everybody's going to have the same chance to earn their service longevity as anybody else. Okay, so that's another great benefit, showing the college's commitment to us as long-term employees, and them showing they want us to stay, honestly, right? Giving some acknowledgement for the work that we're doing. So those are the areas where we have contract language changes. And again, the slide deck is going to be available online. It is available online. And you can click on any of those slides where the proposed language is hyperlinked and see exactly what the wording says. We're going to be completing our general membership meetings over the next week. We know voting happens the following week. And once the vote is in, we're hopeful that the Board of Trustees will vote to approve it. We're trying to get it onto the April Board of Trustees agenda. The timeline is really tight, but that's our goal. If you vote to approve, to ratify this contract. So we strongly recommend, the negotiating council recommends that you do approve this, that you vote yes, and the process, we'll be sending out more information, another quick video, much shorter than this one, on the voting process. If you've been here for any length of time, you know how we do this online. We have a secure vendor who does our voting for us, and they'll be sending you emails with a link to where you can click yes or no on supporting the contract. You'll be able to see at that moment, even, you can go in and still look at the language. Or if you're satisfied by having looked ahead of time, attending our meetings on education on this, when you get that email, you should also be able to just click on the email, on a button on the email to say yes or no, that you approve or do not approve of ratifying this proposed contract. So really appreciate your spending this time. Don't hesitate to contact Melissa Pardo or myself, and thank you for your time.